You wake up to the same small room, the same clock glow, your heart already racing before your feet hit the floor. A stack of envelopes sits on the nightstand like a silent jury, the last bank notification flickers on your phone with a number that feels like a verdict. You remember being told all your life that money is earned by sweat and sacrifice, that if you just worked harder, everything would eventually align. But your bank statement keeps telling a different, harsher story. You sip cold coffee, the kitchen tiles chill under your soles, and the question presses like a weight: how did I get here? I remember that morning as if it were yesterday. I was the person who answered the phone with an apology and smoothed over another missed payment. I argued with myself in the car: you're responsible, you failed, you'll catch up, until a tiny, almost laughable thought nudged through the noise: what if there's another way? I tried to push it away, but that whisper returned, softer and steadier this time, as if someone kind were bending close to reassure me: money is on its way to you. It felt impossible, embarrassing even, but the voice unlocked something I hadn't allowed, a sliver of hope. That shiver was my hero moment, the split-second choice between sinking into scarcity or stepping into a new conversation with the universe. I chose to listen. I learned that prosperity didn't begin with spreadsheets or grind, it began with the quiet inside me, the stories I told about worth and safety. I began to notice the limiting beliefs that had been running the household of my mind, voices that said I didn't deserve abundance, that finance was a battlefield I was doomed to lose. Once named, those stories lost their power. Over the next minutes, I'll walk you through the exact shifts that rewired my relationship with money, the affirmations that sounded ridiculous until they changed my biology, the visualization practice that felt like play and then became a magnet, the vibration techniques that made my life start answering me back. If this resonates, if your chest tightens at the thought of relief, tap like so more people can find this gentle door, and consider staying with me by subscribing. We'll walk this path together. In the next scene, I'll show you the first simple shift that created the first real crack in my scarcity story. You sit at the kitchen table while dawn pours through the blinds, and the stack of envelopes looks bigger than the sunlight. I remember that morning like a film, my hand still shaky from sleep, coffee gone cold, the number on the bank app blinking like a dare. My first honest line to myself was small and fierce: I am tired of this fear. That was the crack where something new began to seep in. For years the world had taught me to fight for every dollar, long hours, tight budgets, anxiety as a companion, until one day I noticed the pattern underneath the numbers, a belief repeated so quietly it felt like fact. I don't deserve more. Money is hard to get. Success is for other people. Naming those sentences out loud, in the exact voice I had used to scold myself, changed them from invisible chains into things I could work on. I sat up straighter and tried an experiment that felt almost childish. I placed an envelope on the table and wrote on it, in careful letters, openness. Every morning that week I put my phone down, closed my eyes, breathed 3 deep counts, and spoke one sentence to the mirror: money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. The first time I felt silly. The third time my chest softened. The 10th time some neighbor returned a borrowed tool with a thank you and a small check tucked inside. Coincidence? Maybe. But coincidences began to line up after I clarified what I wanted and what I believed about it. I taught that pattern to people I coached. Maria, 49, used to avoid calls from collection agencies. Once she practiced a 5-minute visualization, feeling the relief of paid bills, smelling the clean air of freedom. She reported calmer nights and, within months, a freelance opportunity that covered 2 months of debt. The technique is simple: name the limiting belief, replace it with a present-tense affirmation you can feel in your body, and create a tiny daily ritual that signals readiness to receive. It is work, honest, quiet, inner work, but it rewires the way you see choices and opportunities. If this resonates, a small like helps others find it. Tell me, which financial pain wakes you most nights: debt, feeling stuck, or not earning enough? Share below, and, if you want to keep going together, subscribe so I can guide you through the exact step-by-step practice I used to turn those first small coincidences into steady flow. Next, we dive into the precise affirmations and sensory visualizations that prime the universe to respond. I remember the morning like a scene replaying in slow motion, light through the curtains cutting a line across the stack of bills on the nightstand, the phone buzzing with another bank alert, the knot in my chest 3 sizes too big. You know that feeling, the body leaning forward, wanting to fix something that feels unfixable. I sat up, ran a hand through my hair, and heard that small, impossible whisper, "Money is on its way to you." It sounded ridiculous, and yet it pried at a different truth inside me. That was the moment between 2 worlds, the old story of scarcity and the possibility that something else could be true. I won't pretend the path changed overnight. In the weeks that followed, I became a detective of my own thoughts. I listened as my inner voice repeated the family scripts: "We don't have that kind of luck, you blew your chance, rich people are different." Naming those phrases aloud was the first small revolution. Try it now in the quiet of your mind. What sentence keeps looping when you open your mailbox or check your account? When you give it a name, it loses a little of its power. One evening, in a tiny kitchen with a chipped mug of tea, I had a real conversation with my fear. "Where did you learn to be so small?" I asked. It answered with memories, a paycheck-to-paycheck childhood, a parent who tightened the purse strings. But the point is this: memories are not prophecy. You can witness them, thank them for protecting you, and then choose differently. I began practicing 3 simple shifts that rewired my daily experience. First, a quiet centering breath each morning that said, "I am open." Second, one short affirmation, not long or flashy, just, "I am ready for wealth," spoken like a fact. Third, a brief visualization, money arriving not as desperation but as a warm, steady flow, like sunlight entering a room. These were small rituals, but they changed how I moved through the day. I stopped leaning into panic and started signaling readiness. Thousands of people I've worked with tell similar stories: a bill that morphs into an opportunity, an unexpected client, a relief that arrives without a heroic struggle. If this image lands with you, tap the like, it helps other seekers find this message. Tell me below, what is your biggest financial pain right now? Debt, feeling stuck, or not earning enough? Share it and we'll begin to turn that struggle into your first breakthrough. In the next part, I'll walk you step by step through the exact morning routine and visualization I used the morning the universe started sending money. You sit at the kitchen table again, the morning light cutting across unpaid bills like a spotlight on what feels broken. I know that ache. I woke up that way for years, heart pounding, rehearsing the worst-case scenarios. What changed was not a sudden windfall, it was a series of small, deliberate shifts that rewired how my inner world spoke about money. Imagine the same room, the same stack of envelopes, but now a different soundtrack plays in your head: curious, not frantic; expectant, not defeated. That shift is what opens doors. Start by listening. One night, alone with a cup of tea and a pen, I asked the question I had avoided: what story about money am I carrying? The answers came like childhood memories: we don't have enough, rich people are greedy, I should be grateful for what I have. Each belief lived in my body as tension. So I wrote them down and spoke to them out loud, as if they were an old friend who needed to be heard and released. Saying, "I see you, I thank you for protecting me, but I choose differently," loosened the grip those stories held. Then I practiced feeling before receiving. Close your eyes and imagine a simple scene: a check arriving, a client saying yes, a bill dissolving into ease. Don't rush to the how, stay in the emotion for one full breath. Let the warmth rise in your chest: relief, gratitude, safety. This is a vibration you can cultivate. I taught thousands to breathe into that feeling morning and night, pairing it with a short affirmation: I am ready for wealth. I am open to receiving. Say it with a calm certainty, not a desperate plea. Anchor these moments in your day. Place a small coin on your nightstand, a sticky note on the mirror with the words "I am ready for wealth," or a 5-minute visualization before you check your bank app. These tiny rituals train your nervous system to expect abundance. And when fear knocks, because it will, acknowledge it without feeding it, then return to the feeling of having already received. If this resonates, tap like and tell me in the comments: is your biggest pain debt, feeling stuck, or not earning enough? Subscribe to continue our next I'll guide you through a 5-minute exercise that creates a clear signal the universe can't ignore. You sit at the kitchen table again, morning light slicing through the blinds, the same stack of envelopes like small, accusing monuments. I remember that scene, my hands trembling as if the paper had weight beyond numbers. The first thing I taught myself to do was speak back to the small, panicked voice inside. It sounded like every worrisome thought you've ever had: you can't afford this, that's not for people like you. I learned to answer it calmly, almost kindly. What if I can? What if the universe is just waiting for me to ask? Close your eyes with me now. Imagine the dull thrum of fear turning into a soft, deliberate rhythm, breath in, breath out, while you picture a stream of warm light entering your chest and pooling in your belly where scarcity used to live. The practice is simple and repeated: name the belief, feel the fear, then speak a new truth. I used affirmations that felt believable, not cheesy. I am open to money in unexpected ways. I deserve ease. Say them out loud like you mean it, at a kitchen table, in the car, whispering as you fall asleep. Your body will begin to remember safety. One evening I sat with a cup of tea and wrote the number I wanted on a small card, exact, realistic, and specific, and pinned it to the pantry door. The trick is precision. The universe responds to clarity. Couple that with small inspired actions: answer a networking email, set a price you've been afraid to ask, open a savings account with an automatic deposit, even if it's a tiny amount. Those actions are the signal: I am ready for wealth. I coach dozens of people through this same routine. Maria, 52, stopped saying "I'll never" and started saying "I will," and within 6 weeks a freelance contract landed through a friend of a friend. The work is inner and practical: clear your stories, raise your vibration, then move when doors open. If this resonates, tap like and tell me, what's the one money belief you hear in your head? Share it below, and if you want daily guidance, subscribe for the next short practice. In the next part, I'll walk you through a 7-minute morning ritual that changed everything for me, and the exact moment I realized the universe had begun to answer. You wake to the same stack of envelopes, but this time something inside you leans forward, curious instead of defeated. I remember that morning clearly, the light slicing through the blinds like a promise, my hands trembling as I opened a bill, then pausing. A small voice in my head asked, "What if there's another way?" I answered it out loud: "Show me." That question is where the work begins. Not a magic trick, but a careful unlearning of stories that taught you scarcity, the voice that said you don't deserve, that money is a struggle, that comfort must be earned through exhaustion. I started by listening to those stories like a detective, naming them: I'm not enough, money is risky, then turning them over and asking, "Prove it." More often than not, there was no proof, only habit. Then I taught myself to speak differently. I didn't chant empty words, I anchored feelings. Mornings became small laboratories. I would stand by the window with a cup of coffee, close my eyes and imagine an envelope arriving, the weight of the paper, the warmth in my fingers, the relief exhaling through my chest. I would say, quietly, "Money flows to me easily," and feel the safety of that sentence settle in my body. That vibration, calm, expectant, grateful, mattered more than the words themselves. When doubt barged in, I asked it a single question: what would I do today, differently, if I already had this money? The answer changed my choices. I learned to test the universe like a partnership. I set small, believable intentions: call one client, send that pitch, forgive one small expense. Each tiny aligned action was a flag the universe recognized. Stories from the people I guided lit up the same pattern. When they released the heavy stories and practiced feeling wealthy before the numbers changed, opportunities started to appear: an overdue check, a new lead, a loan that came through unexpectedly. If this is resonating, tap like quietly below, and tell me in the comments, which limiting belief keeps you awake most nights. Share that line and we'll gently dismantle it together. In the next part, I'll walk you through a simple 3-minute daily practice that rewires your money story and raises the signal the universe can't ignore. You sit at the kitchen table, the morning light slanting across last month's bills, and you hear that old voice, the one that says scarcity is the safest path. It's familiar, like a worn-out record. But today something different happens. You take a slow breath, and a softer voice answers. Money is on its way to you, it says, not as a promise shouted from the roof, but as a calm fact whispered into your chest. That whisper is the turning point. It doesn't erase the worry, but it changes your posture. You straighten. Your hands stop trembling over the calculator. I want to walk with you through what happened next. First, you name the story that's been running your finances. I'll never have enough, I don't deserve prosperity, or maybe, I'm too old to change. Say it aloud, as if to a trusted friend. When you hear it, you're no longer trapped in it. You'll find a surprising relief in naming the limiting belief. The darkness loses some of its power the moment you shine language on it. Then comes a small, practical practice that rewired everything for me and for thousands I've guided, a 3-minute ritual each morning. Close your eyes. Breathe into your belly. Picture a thin stream of golden light, money as energy, flowing gently toward you, not forcing, just arriving. Speak a simple affirmation, I am ready for wealth. Repeat it slowly, feeling the truth in your chest rather than saying it like a script. Let gratitude sit beside it. Name one small thing you already have that feels abundant: a warm cup, a friendly voice, a roof. Gratitude raises your vibration and signals the universe that you can receive. You'll also begin to notice the world shifting, not because luck changed, but because you did. Opportunities appear differently when you're vibrating with readiness. A neighbor mentions a part-time job, a friend shares a freelance lead, a forgotten $20 bill surfaces in a jacket pocket. These are not coincidences, they are responses to the signal you're now sending. If this resonates, tell me, what single money story do you want to let go of today? Like this moment if it touched you, and stay with me. Next I'll show a clear 5-minute practice that turns those small signals into steady income streams. You sit at the kitchen table as morning light slants across the bills, and something in you answers the universe's whisper with action. Not frantic scrambling, but a quiet, deliberate practice you'll learn to trust. You breathe, name the exact fear, I'll never get ahead, and then you watch it on paper. You write it down as if reading someone else's story, and you cross out the words with a pen that feels heavy and steady in your hand. The room smells of coffee, the meter of your heart slows. That small ritual is the first territory you claim back. I used to believe money hated me, you murmur to yourself. The voice that answers isn't age or gender, it's the inner guide you've been developing. Money responds to feeling, it says. You imagine a simple scene, a check arriving, a client saying yes, a calm bank notification. You don't force the images, you live them 5 senses deep, the weight of the paper, the sound of an email ping, the relief that softens your jaw. The more real you make the experience inside, the more the outside begins to rearrange. There are small, undeniable signs that follow. A forgotten refund appears, a neighbor offers a side job, a long silent program finally reaches out. Each one is a subtle nod, not magic in isolation, but proof that your inner signal is being heard. When old fear returns, you answer with facts. Last month I manifested a bill paid, last week a client found me. You tell yourself stories of others in our community, Maria who turned her debt into a stepping stone, Carlos who shifted one belief and then 5 contracts came through, and you let their steady momentum feel possible for you. Practice becomes daily and practical, a 3-minute visual, one clear affirmation, I am ready for wealth, and gratitude for what already exists. These are not empty phrases, they are instructions to your nervous system. If this part of the journey resonates, tap like and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain right now? Subscribe quietly to follow, because next I'll show the exact daily ritual that transforms these small signals into a steady flow you can count on. The morning light filters through the curtains as you sit at the kitchen table, the stack of bills a small paper mountain that suddenly feels less like a judge and more like a map. I remember that scene, the clink of my coffee mug, the app on my phone nagging with red numbers, and then a quiet, stubborn decision, I will not let this fear decide my future. You breathe, you fold the bills into a manageable pile, and you speak to yourself the way a trusted friend would. Show me the path, you say aloud, and the room listens. Over the next weeks, the work is tender and exact. You learn to name the belief behind the panic, I'm not enough, money is scarce, opportunities pass me by. Say it, write it, then ask it the questions it never heard. Is this absolutely true? Where did I learn this? What would life feel like if it weren't true? Those small interrogations shift the ground beneath your feet. You replace the old sentence with a new one, not as empty hope but as rehearsal. I am ready for wealth. I attract steady, honest abundance. You repeat it each morning, not like a chant but like setting an intention for the day. One afternoon your phone vibrates, a client calls back, offering a project you thought lost. You feel the familiar spike of hope, and this time you let it wash through you without collapsing into need. You imagine money arriving, picture the envelope, the deposit notification, the relief of crossing something off the list. Feel the weight lift in your chest. That feeling is the signal. It alters your energy, and people respond to energy more than you expect. You also build small rituals, a 5-minute visualization before bed, a gratitude list of 3 things related to abundance, a brief note to the universe, or to yourself, saying thank you for what is coming. You declutter your space, pay yourself a small amount first when money arrives, and treat unexpected little gains as confirmation rather than fluke. Conversations at the dinner table change, your partner notices a steadier tone. A neighbor asks, "What are you doing differently?" and you laugh, answering honest and simple. If this resonates, tap the like button and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain right now? Debt, feeling stuck, or not earning enough? Stay with me. In the next part I'll walk you through the exact morning routine and the single phrase I spoke that made the universe show up. You sit back on the edge of the bed, sunlight slanting across the bills stacked like a small city on your nightstand, and you laugh, not because it's funny, but because everything inside you has shifted. Remember the voice that used to say, "You have to struggle for every dollar"? It grew quiet. In its place came a softer truth, one I learned the hard way and then practiced until it felt like breathing. Money is a conversation, not a conquest. I want you to picture that morning with me, the coffee cooling, the little paper weight of worry eased by a breath, and feel the space where anxiety used to live become a place for intention. You didn't become wealthy overnight. I didn't either. I started with 5 minutes each morning, a clear picture of a life where money served me, simple affirmation spoken like a friend, I am ready for wealth, I deserve abundance, money flows to me easily, and small, consistent actions that matched those words. The universe answered not because I begged, but because I created a consistent signal. Opportunities arrived like familiar faces, a phone call about a job I didn't expect, a forgotten rebate, a client who paid early. Each one was proof that your inner work changes outer results. There's a moment in every hero's journey when fear tries to pull you back. The inner critic might whisper, "This is luck," or "You don't deserve this." When that voice appears, talk back. Say, "Thank you for caring, but I choose differently." That tiny exchange dissolves a belief more effectively than any spreadsheet. Combine that with gratitude lists, no matter how small, and a daily visualization of money arriving in practical, believable ways, bills paid, a savings balance that grows, a comfortable choice at the grocery store. These are not fantasies, they're rehearsals for reality. If this touched you, a small like helps this message find someone else who needs it. Tell me in the comments, what is your biggest financial pain right now? Debt, feeling stuck, or not earning enough? Share it, and we'll turn that struggle into your first breakthrough, together. If you want the daily practices that guided me from scarcity to steady abundance, subscribe and stay with this community. Next, we'll walk through a short guided visualization to invite money in, step by calm step.